today's first session, we are joined by our very own Outi Karppanen. Outi is the lead marketing analytics strategist here at Supermetrics. She has 10 years of experience from media agencies with a deep understanding of the global marketing landscape and the challenges that brands face in marketing measurement. Her keynote will reveal exclusive insights from our 2025 marketing report, where we realized that marketers face challenges with data overload, budget cuts, and the AI impact on the world while having to produce better results. So without further ado, let's hear from what Outi has to say.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to APAC SuperSummit 2025 from me as well. My name is Outi, and I am at the moment in our Helsinki office, which is our headquarters, in our lovely studio. And I will start today off with the state of marketing. Where are we at this moment? But first, I'll share my screen, so just a moment. Great. So, as I said, my name is Outi Karppanen, and I'm the lead marketing industry strategist at Supermetrics. So my role is to be the consultant or the translator between all of our customers, all of the industry, and our company and our product and our people. So I'm gonna set the stage today for a very insightful discussions that you have coming up in later sessions. And I'll be sharing the key findings from our very comprehensive 2025 marketing data report. And so we conducted this early this year, and we analyzed over 6,000 companies' Supermetrics product usage and surveyed 200 marketers globally. So I'll highlight the APAC numbers versus global numbers as well, where we have those so that you can see the differences between the regions that we have. Let's get started. First of all, we all know that marketing is very messy. It's gotten very complicated, and it's a very complex purchase paths and very fragmented landscapes. And if it's complex for us as consumers, thinking about where do I buy things, all the research I do, and all the messy middle that happens when I'm researching things, it's very complex for us marketers too. And what we saw from our data is that we're living in a world with too much data. We saw in our research that there was 230% more data now than there was in 2020. And I started in digital marketing over a decade ago, and I don't even want to do the math of how many thousands percentage more complex it is now than it was like back in 2013. So we're just drowning in this amount of data. And it's not just more channels. Obviously, we've got new channels, and every new social media DSP platform is popping up, but it's more granular data. So we can tell from our usage data that the average query count has increased by 50%, and the data is 100% more detailed on each query. But to put that in simple numbers, it's instead of 10 searches a day, it's 15 searches. And instead of 10 rows in each search, it's 20, meaning the total rows go from 100 to 300. And if you scale that up, that's just a lot of difference between the amount of data available and that everyone is trying to get. And it's amazing that most of you, 66% in APAC, answered that you look at your marketing reports weekly or more often. I'm assuming that it's probably then a dashboard that you have. But the reality is that also 68% say that they don't actually have time to analyze their data thoroughly. So you might have time to glance at it or look at the surface level of panic mode of like what's working, or did I get enough impressions or enough reach, or did I get enough conversions? But you don't have time to actually go into the data, dive deeper, do more optimization or deeper research into what creative, what targeting, and all those combinations. So that's the reality we're living in, that we have time, we have our reports, but we don't have enough time to look at them. So the reality is that we've become like these data hoarders with no time to actually analyze it all. It's like we're dragons sitting on top of our data treasure, and we're just owning it all, and we're just like, this is ours, but we're not doing anything with it. So what can we do? First thing is that don't try to collect it all. Just right size your data and agree, what do you need? Don't try to gather all of it. You don't need all of the treasure in your treasure box. Secondly, agree on the KPIs to measure. And these obviously differ. Like a CMO or a CEO has different levels of KPIs they want to look at than someone whose job is to optimize social media creatives or organic social. And it is okay to have different KPIs, but measure those out so that you can figure out what is needed and what isn't needed. And lastly, aim to be data informed to foster a more greater data culture by giving people access to the data and also teaching them on how to use it. And this is at the core of it. And we saw in our study that people see that data can help with building a data culture, obviously, but you need to have access to it, and people need to know how to use it, whether it be the BI tool or where you can get access to it. The other thing is also trusting the data. But there is this little thing, the second problem we found, that we can't really trust the data, that the data quality is crumbling, or what we think has been data quality. So I'm here to tell you, we are all becoming data poor, or in a secret, maybe we've been data poor all along. Starting years ago in digital marketing, we started from simple. We started to understand, oh my God, we have this amazing amount of data available, and it must be all true, and this is all fact and accuracy. And I can admit I've said this sentence, oh, with this targeting, we can target the right people at the right time with the right creative. That is the perfect idea. Great. But in reality, we built this house of digital marketing on cookies. And cookies are crumbling, even though the latest news and the wishy-washy of are they dying, aren't they dying? And the latest news was that, well, they're not, sort of. I'm here to tell you, they're going to die anyway. It's different browsers are already making sure that it's updated every day. You don't know if you're in a country or a market that has data privacy regulations, you already might be suffering from some data loss. And the truth is also that the cookie-based targeting hasn't actually been that accurate anyway. I saw a study last year in a seminar I went to that less than in certain targeting, like women 18 to 24, the accuracy of that targeting was less than 20%. So imagine you're paying, I don't know, up to 50% more on your CPM price for targeting those, or 20%, but you're getting less than 20% actually of the audience that you wanted. So math-wise, it doesn't make sense. And we know that it is causing challenges, and we know that it is causing challenges in tracking, in targeting, and measuring. And my question is, what is left in digital marketing after you take away tracking, targeting, and measuring? Buying it? That's simple to do, but that doesn't tell us how effective it is. Luckily, we're seeing that marketers are investing in technologies to start solving this problem. And here's where you can see differences between APAC and the global market, EMEA and North America especially, is that in APAC, the number one solution now is a CRM tool, and second is advanced analytics and AI for data insights. And I think a lot of this is because of Europe has had to suffer from GDPR, or has the privilege of handling data privacy regulations that then, for example, Australia, New Zealand market doesn't really have those regulations. And that's caused Europe to already start thinking of certain aspects of these already. So there is hope in the end. what can you do? Like, where can you lean on if cookies are crumbling and you can't trust the data? Well, the solution is tackling this by leaning on your zero and first party data. And zero party data meaning your data that customers are giving you willingly. It could be that when they're signing up, you're asking them, are you interested in this, or this thing? Something that they are getting value back from you, they're voluntarily giving you that data. First party data obviously is then what's happening on your website and what they're doing there. They're visiting these pages, they're looking at more of books about traveling versus fantasy books. So lean on that, gather everything you can, make sure that you're giving some value to your customers for giving you zero party data, and create your one source of truth. So gather all of your data, fix it to be quality, and make sure that you trust it, you know how it's blended, managed, and everything. And then store it in your chosen data destination. So it could be data warehousing, data lakes, or anything. And then you can do your measurement strategy optimizations with that data, or give access to your partners to do those for you. But you still own the data and you know that it's quality and trust it. So this is the way to tackle and lean on it when we know that the cookies are crumbling away. The third thing we found is this immense pressure to do more with less. And I joined Supermetrics a year ago from a media agency, and trust me when I know this has been a trend for a while. I've heard so many times, like, can we get this, but with less budget? Can we get the same impact? And I'm not alone, because 50% of marketers in APAC say that they are under pressure to cut costs while maintaining the results. So half of you now looking at this probably have heard the sentence of, great, but can you cut some costs but get the same effect? Like, we still want to reach the same amount of people. And I feel like marketing has always been the one who needs to prove its value the most. Like, we need to say that we are bringing money in. Obviously, we're spending also a lot of money, so it makes sense, but there's a lot of pressure to that. And since the pandemic, it feels like it's been needed to be done with less resources, not just budget, but less resources, less costs and everything. So everyone's under pressure. And how can you then prove that marketing is effective and is helping the business? Well, 56% of you say that ROI is the main KPI for evaluating success. Well, great. Solution is simple. Just prove the ROI. So prove the return on investment that you get from marketing. So for every dollar you put in, you get $10 in return or $5. No one's going to say no if you go to a CFO and say, like, hey, I've proven this. If I get spend 1 million, I get 5 million in return. And if you give me more money, I will give you more money. Simple as that, obviously. Well, something's done off, because in APAC, only 38% are using MMM, which is the main way and the best way to get your ROI, as their current measurement strategy. Luckily, half of you are doing return on investment analysis, so it could be that it's still MMM or some other tool. But why is it still less than half that are using it if that is the main KPI for most people? Well, it's probably because a lot of you say that the difficulty of measuring it is one of the biggest barriers to using it. So we have this holy grail of measurement. We know that if you just can prove that how much you're spending to how much you're getting in return would answer all of our needs. But it is that 1 of 3 marketers find it difficult to measure. And I don't have a magical solution for you, and there is no one universal thing to help you. What I can tell and comfort is that it is a journey, and every company's journey is unique. It can go from, let's say, if you're starting from 0, you're starting from platform reported results and last click attribution. I'm not judging you. something is better than nothing. If you're starting from here, it can take you up to 6 months or a year and a half to get to a more robust measurement strategy. Often you would then start to understand the limitations of platform reported, like how much overlap there is between those. You go into multi-touch, data-driven attribution, maybe some incrementality testing, which, by the way, is very underutilized measurement strategy. I recommend looking into that. Once you then start to understand, like, hey, and actually I have other things than digital marketing. I have offline media, I have TV, out of home. You go into MMM, marketing mix modeling, media mix modeling. You want to understand what is marketing's effect on overall sales? Is it 20% or 80% or anything in between that? And what is, let's say, weather's effect? And if our competitors are advertising, what is that effect? So that's often the next step in line. Then the sort of ultimate goal is understanding that you can calibrate these with each other. And that's when you get a more robust, more truthful results for your ROI. And as I said, every company has their own unique mix of measurement strategies that work for you, because you might be just doing digital, you might be doing a lot of offline, you might have events, you might be a B2B company, B2C, all these different things. So it's not just one measurement you need to be doing. It's most likely a combination of these and others. And you just need to find the right fit for your company and understand the limitations of each of these so that then you can optimize and understand, like, not to blindly follow some numbers. So the key takeaways of our marketing data report is, first, don't be a data hoarder, streamline your data. So figure out what you need to be gathering, gather that, and then create your one source of truth that you trust the data quality. And lastly, figure out the right measurement strategies to prove the effectiveness of marketing. And in reality, actually, I would recommend you to start from figuring out what you need to measure. And that's going to give you the KPIs, what do you need to store, what data do you need to gather, and then creating your one source of truth. And that's just the highlight to solutions. You'll be hearing more about these topics in the upcoming sessions. But if you're interested to learn more and read about our study, you can go and download the report from the link that's going to be shared with you. So that was all from me. It's been a pleasure to tell you about our latest study, and I hope you have a great rest of the day in our APAC SuperSummit 2025.
Thank you, Outi. Lots of great insights there. But what stood out for me is that 1 in 3 marketers find that the difficulty of measuring ROI is stopping them from experimenting with modern marketing measurements methods like MMM.
Yeah, agreed. But the ROI journey is actually a topic we'll be discussing on the panel later today, so do stick around for that as well. Shout out to Craig, Lawrence, and anyone else out there in the chat today who feels or identifies as a data hoarder. I feel your pain and I'm with you as well. Look, if you'd like to dive deeper into the data, our 2025 marketing data report is now available, and you'll find a link from our community team in the chat shortly. But it looks like it's time to move to our next session.